Again is
Mid!
Now, I watched up to episode 7, and honestly, this show is missing something essential. While Born Again was airing, I went back and rewatched season 3 and season 2 of the original Netflix series. Watch it if you haven't, you're missing out. And the difference is pretty significant, man. The artistry, the soul, the depth, it's just not there in this new iteration. There's hints of it, yeah, there's a hint of Source here and there, but it's not there yet. Now, I understand that the version we're getting is a patched up Frankenstein or something that could have been a lot worse, thank God, but let's be real. Why should we as fans who've been fed a 5-star Michelin grade meal of a show for the past 9 years settle for a half-baked, undercooked, smelly, disgusting ass McChicken of a show? Okay, it's not really that bad, but it is missing something, and I feel like every Daredevil fan that's watched the series from season 1 to season 3 from Netflix knows deep down what I'm saying is true. Obviously it's not there. The original show had Source, cinematography, Tim Kelly characters, but most importantly, it was mature. That's what made it stand out from other superhero shows. Born Again, on the other hand, is playing it a little too safe. Sometimes it gives me CW vibes when I watch it. It can get a little cringe sometimes, honestly.
Make this interesting.
You'll have exactly 3 minutes to think of a joke.
Okay, so a priest finds a 4-leaf clover on the hills of Donegal. And the priest is ecstatic. He thinks this must be my lucky day. The leprechaun now owes him a wish. The leprechaun shakes his head, confused, forlorn. Ah, blimey, he says. I just fucked a penguin.
Yeah, when I saw this scene, I just wanted to smash my TV. Like, it made me cringe. That's the thing about this show, it makes you cringe sometimes, and there's a hint of Source within this show that keeps me watching. In every single episode, I've been in this position where I watch this show, and I'm like, bro, this show's fucking ass, and all of a sudden there's this one scene, or a few scenes, that gives me a hint of what I was experiencing when I watched the Netflix series that made me keep watching. That's the only reason I'm still watching this show. But to be fair, would I go out of my way to pirate this show like I did for Netflix when I didn't have a Netflix account back in the day? Probably not. The reason I'm even watching it now is because my cousin has DisneyPlus, and I just use his account to watch it. It's not really that good, but what can I say? It has potential, or at least I'm hoping it has potential. Like, when I compare it back to the original Netflix series, like, even the violence. Look, I know the show is marketed as something gritty, the most grittiest DisneyPlus show, but good stories use violence to further enhance its narrative. Take season 1, when Matt threw that one Russian dude off the fucking roof.
They'll be waiting for you. If you're lucky, they'll kill you before they start hitting on the boy. It'd be a shame for you to have to watch what they do to him.
No! Oh my god!
It's alright.
When I watched this scene, all I saw was a Matt that was struggling with an identity of who he is as a person and what he needed to be for the city he loves. Now let's look at Born Again, where Matt broke this random guy's kneecap. Yeah, look, you didn't have to do all that. Sometimes when I watch violence in the news show, it feels like Disney is just saying, bro!
You see that, bro? Are you enjoying this one, bro? Is this a good show or what, bro? This guy's kneecap, bro.
Look, I know this episode in particular was from the old showrunners that got fired, and man, you can really tell. Like, Matt wouldn't go ahead and paralyze a motherfucker for robbing a bank. Even if he's a part of a bigger corrupt police scandal, that's not the type of guy Matt is. And look, you might say that this guy was holding hostages and probably threatening people's lives, but Matt's been in this position before. Look at season 2. And look how professionally he handled it. Now, let's go back to season 1. Not only was the Russian Matt dealing with was a child kidnapper, but after Matt got done interrogating him, he was mocking him, which is what made Matt snap. Now look, Matt's always been a character that has struggled with his rage, like no judgment bro, same here. We've all been there.
We? Now we going to war. What do you mean we?
But the most burdensome rage is the rage that is justified. A human trafficker boasting about the pain they cause others isn't the same as a bank thief running away from the scene of a crime. Matt's never been the type of guy that finds pleasure in violence, like we literally established this in season 1. He does what he has to do for the people the system fails.
When I was a kid, before the accident, I'd lay awake at night, listening to the sirens. I like to put stories to them, try and figure out what they were for. After I lost my sight, after my abilities developed, I realized how many sirens there actually were. I tried not to fight, to make my dad proud, to block it out. For years, I buried my head and turned away. Then, one night, I heard it. A little girl, crying in her bed in a building down the block. Her father liked to go to her room late at night, when his wife was asleep.
This is what made Matt become Daredevil. Hearing the sirens, the screams, the calls for helps. One of the things that made the original Daredevil so captivating was his ability to balance action with deeply personal stakes. Matt Murdock was a complex character, constantly wrestling with his faith, morality, and the consequences of his actions. Themes of redemption, Matt's Catholicism, a discussion about morality not only in regards to the show's characters, but life itself. I first started watching this show when I was 14. I'm about to turn 23 now, man. And in every phase of my life in which I rewatch the original show, I see it in a different light. Matt and Frank's rooftop scene, from them discussing morality, redemption, of believing in people and giving them a second chance, conversations like that have meaning. Anyone who's lived a decent amount of life in this world should be able to relate to something like that. Forgiving someone who wronged you, wondering if you yourself is worth forgiveness or a second chance. Now listen, I know Frank only goes after the worst of the barrel, but there's always a discussion in where we should draw the line. Should we only draw the line on criminals that do small crimes? Are they the only ones who feel remorse and should be forgiven? Can people change? Can they make an attempt? Can they...
Try again, Frank. Try.
The reason this rooftop scene was so loved by fans wasn't just because it was the Punisher and Daredevil. They loved the show because worthwhile themes and discussions that related to every human being was discussed by these characters. That's what made us fall in love with these characters, because we related to them. It also helped that the way Netflix shot these scenes had a certain aesthetic to it that's missing in this new show, but that's something else entirely. Now, let's look at the Punisher and Daredevil scene in Born Again. The acting was amazing, no doubt. I think that's the only reason I was captivated by it. John Bothell and Charlie Cox. Look, we already know these guys deliver, bro. But the scene itself and its place in the narrative is a bit rushed. Yeah, we get it. Foggy, the character that went from Matt's goofy sidekick to a fucking man with principles and belief in the system, died. Yeah, we get it. But that doesn't take away from the fact of this being rushed. This whole scene with Frank is dependent on Foggy and his death. That's the only reason Matt's not being Daredevil right now. That and he killed Bullseye and threw that guy off a roof too. I don't know, man. Matt and roofs in this video. It's a weird correlation I just figured out. But anyway, back to the point. The show really struggles at communicating Matt's dilemma. Like, it almost expects its audience to just keep up. Yeah, look, we love these characters, but the reasons why we love these characters, why we resonate with them, Matt's struggles, and why he struggles aren't really communicated well. Like, how many times have we done the Matt leaving Daredevil behind shtick? Like, we get it. We got it in The Defenders, we got it in Season 3, and I understand Foggy dying and Matt wanting to dedicate the rest of his life to doing the things by the system is a way of him honoring Foggy's life. It's compelling, yeah, but it's not communicated well. This lack of communication even branched into the fight scenes. The fight scenes in the original show weren't just fights. They were brutal, yeah. Well choreographed, yeah, definitely. But they were also filled with narrative weight. The one-shot hallway fight scene in season 1, it's iconic. The season breakout scene in season 3, masterpiece. And each of those scenes, from the way they were shot to the acting, resonates with the narrative. The season 1 hallway scene, the one that started it all, Matt is a tactician, using his senses, his training, to take control of the situation and complete the objective. This is a Matt who's centered and knows what he's doing when he puts on the mask. Like, when I watch the new show, I feel like most of the screen time is wasted setting up all these useless characters. Look, it goes back to the whole Frankenstein piece of a show from the old showrunners, and I guess that's why season 1 is struggling, but it's all over the place. In Born Again, the fights feel weightless, the stakes are a lot lower, and the cinematography lacks that visceral energy. Look, the only exception was that one scene in the train tracks where Daredevil was running at Muse with the lights of the train going red, and there was like a huge jump scare. But even that was wasted with like a CG scene that just ruined the whole thing. Like, in most of the scenes, there's a notable absence of grit and raw intensity that made the original so compelling. And another thing is, why is Matt always screaming now? Like, I've heard it's an iconic scream. When has it ever been iconic for this guy to scream? The only time I can think of is the end of season 3, when this guy was about to kill Fisk. Yeah, that makes sense, because he was literally struggling to make a decision. But him screaming after beating someone up, like he did in episode 2, when he beat those cops up, and him screaming again, all randomly, that's just... Look, he's not a toddler, man. Like, I just don't get the whole screaming shtick now. Like, that's not something that Matt's been doing since season 1. Oh, bro, this show, man, it's everywhere. Like, does Born Again have potential? Yeah, absolutely. But potential doesn't mean much if it isn't realized. Right now, season 1 is missing too many of the elements that made Daredevil special, and we gotta wait till season 2 to see if it holds up. Fucking hell.
Swearing doesn't make you cool.
Okay, bye.